Hey everyone, and welcome to Weight Loss Wednesday. I'm Chef AJ, the author of The Secrets to Ultimate Weight Loss, and this is usually where I show you recipes for healthy, permanent, and sustainable weight loss. But today I'm actually answering a question from a viewer named Ramona who said, "Dear Chef AJ, I just can't do this. I can't be perfect like you. I don't think I'll ever be able to lose weight." And so the question I want to answer is, do you have to be perfect to lose weight? And what does perfection even mean? You know, I'm accused a lot of being a Goldhammer light, meaning a miniature Dr. Alan Goldhammer, who is my dear friend and mentor, from whom, along with Dr. McDougall and Dr. Lyle, I pretty much learned everything about healthy, permanent, and sustainable weight loss. Maybe Dr. Goldhammer is perfect, but I certainly am not perfect. And the first thing I want to do is bust that myth. But before I do that, what is the definition of perfect? Have you ever looked it up in any of the dictionary? Because in Merriam-Webster dictionary and Collins dictionary, different definitions, there were hundreds literally, and I wrote a few of them down. One definition of perfect was as good as it can possibly be. One was conforming to the ideal type. One was beyond practical or theoretical improvement. And if those are the definitions, then I'm certainly not perfect. And even if I was perfect, by whose standards? So for example, I eat white rice. I love it. I eat it a lot. I eat it more than any other kind of rice. Probably eat it 4 or 5 times a week. So if you look at some of the standards of the other doctors, particularly some of the plant-based doctors, right there and then I'm not perfect, because a large part of my diet is white rice and white potatoes. And a lot of the esteemed plant-based doctors will tell you those aren't healthy foods, for example. I don't eat nuts ever. I haven't eaten a nut or a seed or an avocado or any added fat in over 10 years. And right there, a lot of the plant-based doctors will tell you right there, that's not perfect. I don't do G-Bombs or the Daily Dozen, not because I don't think they're great, but I don't do any of those. So I'm certainly not perfect according to Dr. Furman's standards or Dr. Greger's standards. I avoid salt and sugar. So I'm probably not perfect according to Dr. McDougall's standards either. I align more closely with the diet that's taught at the True North Health Center, SOS-free, sugar, oil, and salt, which I avoid. But even then, I make a few exceptions when I travel, which I haven't done, thankfully, in a couple of years, or eat at people's houses. So sometimes I do get a little bit of salt in the form of a few condiments. So technically, I'm not perfect. I don't think Dr. Goldhammer would do that. I also avoid things like flour and alcohol. So how am I perfect? I'm abstinent because I'm a food addict, albeit in recovery, but I'm not perfect. So the question is, do you need to be perfect to lose weight and maintain that weight loss? And if so, how perfect do you have to be? I don't know. It depends. How much weight do you have to lose? What are you eating? You see, if you really listen to my work and really have listened to everything I've said in the last 10 years, you'll know that the first thing I say, pretty much in every class I teach, every client I talk to, is that you need to do the least restrictive program or diet, if you will, I don't like that word, that you can do that will get you the results you seek. Now let's say that again. Do the least restrictive program that you can do that will get you the results you seek. But the thing is we're all different. And food addiction also exists on a continuum, with some people being more vulnerable, some people being less vulnerable to these things like refined carbohydrates, like sugar, flour, and alcohol. So there's not necessarily one perfect diet, and we can't paint everybody with the same brush. But if you're not happy with your weight, if it's higher than you want it to be, then maybe you have to be, I don't like this word, more perfect, or tighten the screws a little bit more. So it's not really about being perfect. It's about eating the least restrictive diet you can do, but that will give you the results you seek. So I really don't understand how perfection even plays into this, because it's really calorie density. If you're eating a diet too high in calorie density for your specific genes, you're probably going to find yourself overweight. And that's really what it comes down to, not perfection. You know, if I am perfect, and again, I don't use that word for myself, there's only 2 areas in my life that I'm going to say perfect, but very, very excellent at. Because, you know, truthfully, the people that I've seen succeed in their weight loss journey are simply people that understood the fundamentals and practiced them and executed them better than everybody else. But where I am close to perfect is in 2 areas, which has allowed me to keep this 50-pound weight loss off for almost 10 years now without any relapses or even struggling eating huge volumes of delicious food is that number one, I keep a clean environment. And the first thing I teach is that you have to have a clean environment. You're only as lean as your environment is clean. When you have a clean environment, you don't need any willpower because it doesn't require any willpower to not eat something that isn't there. That's why I've been known for saying for many years, if it's in your house, it's in your mouth. And when I first discovered that I was a food addict and understood it, I did not allow a drop, a morsel, or a crumb of any non-compliant food in my house. And I've kept that up for the last 10 years. So it's very easy to eat my diet because all that I have in my house is delicious and abundant compliant foods. But just not having non-compliant food in the house isn't enough. Where I am close to perfect, or where I do a very good job, where I have excellence, is in batch cooking. Now, my batch cooking techniques aren't as beautiful and as elaborate as the wonderful Tammy Kramer of Nutmeg Notebook, who you can watch on YouTube, and she has hours and hours of videos of excellent batch cooking techniques. I have my own system, and I have a few videos because I eat very simply. But the point is, I don't just have an environment that's clean of non-compliant food. I always have healthy food ready. It's always prepared. At any moment of any day, there's always something delicious and abundant and healthy in my refrigerator or freezer that I can pull from. And so those are really, at the end of the day, the secret to my success. People say, well, I just need to have more willpower. Willpower is a very limited resource, and it gets depleted as the day goes on, and especially if you're stressed. And the problem with relying on willpower is that it doesn't work, for one, but a clean environment always works. And I certainly won't say that if you live in an unclean environment, you're going to fail. But I will tell you, I've worked with thousands of people now, both in groups and personally, and I've never seen somebody who lived in a truly clean environment that hasn't succeeded. So at the end of the day, it's not about being perfect, but taking the advice of my friend and mentor, Dr. Doug Lisle. The first thing he ever said to me over 10 years ago when I met him at the True North Health Center is, you must work harder on your environment than you do yourself. You must work harder on your environment than you do yourself. So that really is the secret sauce. It's not about perfection. When the environment is wrong, willpower is of no use. And when the environment is right, willpower is of no need. So instead of worrying about being perfect and getting in all these, micronutrients, and I don't even worry about that. There's a great video that I can link to with Dr. Lisle about our nutrient obsession. Stop it. I don't worry about any of that. I eat an abundant, whole food plant exclusive diet without sugar, oil, flour, alcohol, salt. I eat what's called exclusively to the left of the red line. If you want to know more about that, you can just look at the chart on my book or look at some of my videos. I eat as much as I want, whenever as I want, for whatever reason, until comfortably full. And I've had no problem in the last 10 years. So it's not really about perfection. It's about choices. It's about having a clean environment. And it's about having healthy food always ready. So tomorrow is Thanksgiving, which is probably along there with Halloween, the number one relapse day of the year for at least many of my clients and students. And, I can tell you that I've never met a single person that has regretted not going off plan. So again, if you have a slip or a slide, it's not fatal. Don't beat yourself up. Just get on plan with the next meal. It's not about perfection. Don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. Just make progress, but realize that it's not even about perfection in that, when I look at these definitions, conforming to the ideal type, I'm not conforming to anybody's ideal type. I'm eating the diet that I love, that's delicious, that made me lean, that's keeping me lean. I don't even think about perfection. I love my food so much. I don't want any other food. As good as it possibly could be? No, not according to a lot of the doctors I listed. I'm not doing all those things. I don't eat a Brazil nut every month or take omega-3 fatty acids. I don't worry about any of that. So a lot of people would look at my diet and say, it's not as good as it could possibly be. Beyond practical or theoretical improvement, a lot of people would say it's not good enough, but it's sure good enough for me to enjoy my life, to enjoy a lean body that I've had for 10 years. And I never even think about perfection. I think about abstinence because I'm a food addict, but I never even use that word. I don't think you have to be perfect to lose weight or maintain it, you have to realize that we're all different genetically. And you may see some beautiful YouTuber in their 20s or 30s that can get away with having a little of this, a little of that. But if you're a little bit older like me and have been overweight or obese your whole life, that may not work for you. So it really, at the end of the day, is about finding the least restrictive program that you can do that will give you the results you seek, and not listening to other people that may have different results doing a different program. I wish you and your family a healthy, happy, joyous holiday season. Take care.